It's February the 5th. It's about 1:38. This is Liberty County Commissioners Workshop. Um, and it's going to be an interesting topic today. It's a workshop considering this discussion of potential update and changes to Liberty County subdivision rules and regulations. Of course, give just one quick little background so y'all know, because you might not. When we walked in the door in 2015, our rules and regulations were about this thick. Okay. They're really, really elementary. And then, in consideration of local government code 232 and what we had to follow in those rules as well, we redid these in 2016 and 2017 with basically a moratorium with developers to sit down with us and say, we need to strengthen these, but we want to work with you. And about a year and a half later, we, involved LJA, of course, from the get-go. And we got some more stringent rules that were pretty much as strong as we could get in comparison to other counties within our region. Are we there yet? Probably not, but we're getting there. But when I got the next book out, it was about this thing, so they're getting better. But development rules, in my opinion, and I can say this, development rules favor developers. Y'all all know that. And in turn, the legislature loves developers. So I'll get off of that soapbox, okay? Because I can stay on it for a long, long time. So let's discuss potential updates. And if you want to carry us through the first ride in the truck, well, you got the key and you got the gas, and you don't even have to hit the brakes, okay? But please introduce yourself, if you would.
Hello, everybody. My name is Katie Harris. I'm a principal at LJA, and I am here representing the Public Works Group to talk about some of your challenges that you all are seeing across the county and here in Commissioner's Court, some potential revisions to your subdivision ordinance that might help you address those changes, and then we can have discussion about what you like or don't like about some of our potential suggestions.
Okay.
So thank you for having me. So sorry for my tardiness. In front of you, I printed copies of the presentation itself, so you'll be able to see that. And then the other sheet that is actually miniature now that it is printed are all of the potential changes that you might be interested in considering. They are expanded, so you will be able to actually read them in the presentation document, but I will make sure that both PDFs of these are shared so that you can either look at them on your computer or print them to a scale that is appropriate for your viewing. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So the agenda today is to generally understand the county's challenges, discuss potential subdivision ordinances, and then y'all's thoughts and feedback on that. So next slide, please. So some of the challenges that LJA is specifically aware of are, the Commissioner's Court agenda has been seeing a lot of variance requests, or just generally the court agenda has been very heavy. Are regarding front building lines, cul-de-sac radius, right-of-way, or pavement, lot sizes, construction plan, approval timeline, plat type, and the approval options, which kind of ties into your court agenda size. Not necessarily that there's any issue with it currently, but if you want to consider reducing the number of items on the agenda, the plat type is a way to address that. And then also the maintenance securities section of the code. So as you mentioned, a lot of this is regulated by the Texas Local Government Code, whether in one section or another. So there's only so much that can be done. Some of it is just needing to be added to y'all's code, or some of it may be specific adjustments that fit within the framework of the Texas Local Government Code. But some background on myself: prior to working at LJA, I worked for several cities across the state. So my whole career has been in reading and understanding local government codes at the state level and local and county. So
You know, I have a question.
go ahead.
Maybe you can clarify this. In your opinion, does the local government code pretty much the prequel, to anything we do? So even what we discuss here has to be compared back to the local government code, and we can't infringe upon the strength of it, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. So that's kind of the baseline, and then you can expand upon that.
Well, that's a portion that the public doesn't understand. They think that we make the rules right here locally, and that how come we don't make them more stringent?
Right.
And well, we can't.
Yes.
We're gonna have to. We go as tough as we can, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
So okay.
And especially at the county level where you don't have land use control, there's only so many things that you can put into place to help guide development in the manner that y'all see fit.
Right.
So hopefully some of these suggestions might help address some of those concerns.
Okay.
I won't take it personally if you hate any or all of them, but I'm here to help make suggestions, and I hope that they address your concerns.
Well, the only way to get it right is get the suggestions, and let's get a good, clean idea and see what direction we want to go.
Yes. Okay. Next slide, please. So the first one is discussing building lines. So currently in your ordinance, it states across the board that minimum building lines should be 25 feet, front building lines specifically. Generally, this is not an issue. However, when you approach cul-de-sacs or knuckles, which is basically where you don't have a flat 90-degree turn, you have somewhere between 80 and 100 degrees.
Can you? I might stop you occasionally because the public watches this.
Yes.
If they don't know what a building line is, we need to explain to them what a building line is.
Okay. Yep. Let me
Okay.
get a little bit more into the weeds. So building line is the closest that you can build a structure to the public right-of-way line. So by saying that the front building line is 25 feet, you cannot get any closer with your home or whatever other structure that is to the actual public right-of-way, which is larger than the pavement that you would typically see on the ground. So
what do you commonly call a setback?
yes.
Okay.
Yes. So this is a challenge because as you add curves into right-of-way design, it pinches the front part of a lot so that it generally gets a little bit narrower right at the right-of-way line. And a common regulation across the Houston region is that when you have curves, basically when you're not either flat or at a 90-degree angle, you can reduce the front building line to 20 feet to account for that curve. So a potential solution to that, which would reduce the number of variance requests that show up on y'all's agenda with plats, is to keep the front building line 25 feet across the board, except along knuckles and curves. And you could update table 40.7.09 to reflect that. And that's done, as I mentioned, all over Houston, but some of the specific areas that we referenced, City of Conroe, City of Houston, and Montgomery County.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in the year that I've been on the commissioner's court. That's been probably the most common requested variance from the developer, and so that we, and so then it takes reviews from you guys. It's all cost money. So if we can address this in this manner, because we've been granting that variance, it's a pretty standard variance at this point, and so if you're I don't know if you've gotten to the solution, but your solution should provide that acceptance going forward.
Yes. And it would be a very simple change, just updating your table to be specifically allowing 20 feet at building line for cul-de-sacs and knuckles. So,
well, the builders and the developers, their goal is population density. So there's got to be a happy medium somewhere. That's where we want to hit.
Yes.
Okay.
The claim mostly is on the aesthetics. If you follow that, it's going to vary the fronts of the homes, and so they want to keep some consistency across that cul-de-sac. And that, at least that's what I've heard when they make their plea for the variance.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of times as you're driving, you would not be able to tell the difference between a 25-foot building line on a straight area and then a 20-foot building line on a curve, because they all end up sitting at the same location generally.
Yeah. Okay. So this is pretty much generally accepted in the
Yes.
Houston market, basically.
Yes. Okay.
Good.
Next slide, please. So the next topic is cul-de-sac radius, right-of-way, and pavement radius. So the ordinance issue that we have seen come up as variances a lot on y'all's agenda is that the minimum cul-de-sac radius is right-of-way specifically is 70 feet and the pavement itself is 50 feet. This is a potential challenge, one, because it's not the typical standard across the Houston region, so most developers are not used to seeing this. But it likely was that y'all's subdivision ordinance was written how to describe how roadside ditch right-of-ways were designed, which is when you would need a larger radius for the cul-de-sac and pavement width. So a potential solution to this would be to keep the 70-foot right-of-way and 50-foot pavement radius, but add for open ditch, but add a second option for curb and gutter style design that would make the right-of-way radius of the cul-de-sac 60 feet and keep the pavement the same at 50, which would satisfy your fire marshal and also is more commonly accepted across the Houston region. So you'll see in City of Conroe, City of Houston, Jefferson County, and City of Dayton, those are all regulations that are.
They're going to satisfy you, Andy? Yeah. Okay. He's saying yeah. We like it when he says yes. Okay.
I think that's what most folks want the variance too, isn't it? 50 foot.
Yeah. It,
Curb and gutter.
you know, the thing I'm looking at, you know, some of your comparisons are coming from in jurisdictions, you know, City of Conroe, City of Houston, Jefferson County is one, City of Dayton. There's only one county in consideration. And the cities, municipalities have stronger regulatory powers than we have. So that's kind of the cusp of what developers are looking at. So wait a minute, you don't have to do it like they do. You know, but then again, we want uniformity if we can get there. Yeah.
Right. I mean, even League City, you know, we gave some examples. I could have a laundry list of examples of all the jurisdictions, but I figured you didn't want multiple pages of that.
Yeah.
But like League City just updated their regulations to require 60-foot cul-de-sac right-of-way pavement or right-of-way radius. City of Houston requires it in the city. They don't require it in their ETJ yet. So it's very common across the Houston
Yeah,
region.
this won't be much of a change. It's just eliminating the variance process that we see every time, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay, next slide, please. This is a bigger topic and will likely need feedback and your thoughts. So lot size, I know that has been coming up a lot on y'all's agendas. It's currently undefined in your subdivision ordinance, which immediately results in a request for smaller lots generally, or a variance to, if you have a minimum, then they request even smaller. So our recommendation to potentially address this is adding a section or adding more details in section 20 that discuss lot design, which would be adding a minimum lot width and a minimum square footage so that there would be some flexibility if you wanted a 60-foot wide lot, but maybe you wanted it to be a little bit shallower. You could still hit the minimum square footage just to provide options for housing types. Some people want less lot, but more house. But if you're open to considering smaller lot sizes below 60, 50, whatever y'all feel is appropriate, there are options to provide standards such as compensating open space, which is basically if you go lower than a specific lot size, then you have to provide more open space. Several cities require that. City of Houston is one of them. They have a table that discusses square footage, and every like 500 square feet, you get smaller in lot size. You have to go up in open space by a certain amount. But there's also options such as creating standards for master plan communities, which you could add a definition for that in your definition section that basically talks about what is a master plan community. And that would usually be multiple land uses, multiple lot sizes, so that you don't all, like someone wouldn't come in and call a whole development of 40-foot lots a master planned community because it's designed all at the same time.
Yep.
The intent is to have a variety of lot sizes, a variety of land uses to help balance everything. And then that would have to be approved by Commissioner's Court through submitting a general plan detailing land use, percentages, lot sizes, all of that. And it would be a discussion, and then they would have to follow that. So this is a larger conversation, and is likely going to
No doubt
require a
about
lot of
that.
discussion,
Okay.
but there are ways to create flexibility in single family development while also hitting the goals of the county, which is basically not ending up with a bazillion 40-foot lots.
You know, you see the unique position we're in right now. A lot of fresh dirt.
Yes.
A lot of developers are coming here, and we have the opportunity to make it as best we can the first round out instead of going back like Harris County's had to do and have numerous changes as they relate to anything. I mean, from drainage, where there's zero impact considerations. And my biggest fear has always been the possibility of, contiguous properties. It's a zero impact on this one. It's a zero impact on this one. But what is the sum after it's all said and done? It's going to be somewhere in there that's going to complicate the matter. And we're flat. You've been in a rice field, but there it is. It doesn't drain. So we're trying to get these as strict as we can to not compete with Harris County, but we're wanting to not make the same mistakes that they did over the last 75, 80 years.
Right.
When we're in the first steps. Okay.
Yes. I was very pleased when I heard that y'all were interested in doing this, because a lot of places will just pretend it's not happening and then realize 20 years later that they could have done something a while ago. So even having a conversation is excellent first step.
We recently rejected a variance for the side setbacks to be reduced from 5 feet to 3 for a developer to place homes on 31-foot wide lots. So it clearly demonstrates that the desire to build on smaller lots are there, and that it needs to be addressed in our standards. I think it should be pointed out, whatever we do going forward, that everyone that does have a development agreement, and I'm looking here at our attorneys, they're grandfathered into the old development regulations.
That's correct.
Okay, so I want to make sure that nobody's getting all nervous right now that we're going to change in the middle of the stream here and change their course and change their economic development plan for that piece of property. But as the judge pointed out, we've got to look going forward, because there's a whole lot more of the county to be developed in the next 30 to 40 years, and it will be at some point. So the things that we do now are going to be paramount to the success going forward with the county.
Yep.
Yes.
Drive on.
Yes. So we can certainly talk more about this, or we can keep going and come back to the lot sizes, whatever y'all prefer, because
Let's kind of just run through the whole summary of this, and then we can come back and pick out the parts, please.
okay, great. Next slide. So the next topic is construction plan approval timing. The current process in your ordinance is that construction plans cannot be formally approved until the final plat is approved by Commissioner's Court, which it creates a challenge in development schedules, basically because the final plat is slowing actual development down. So The potential solution would just to kind of be reorganize the process. Many other jurisdictions in the area not only allow infrastructure plan or construction plans to be submitted in advance, they will not even look at the final plat until infrastructure plans have been submitted and or approved, depending on the jurisdiction. So like League City specifically, you can't submit a final plat without a letter of credit unless your infrastructure has been accepted.
Okay.
And so that basically ensures that everything is built according to the standards, and then the final plat matches what's on the ground. But this is happening all over the city or the region.
Mhm.
And so you could either require the construction plans and the final plat to be submitted concurrently, not necessarily approved at the same time,
Mhm.
or you could allow the construction plans to be submitted in advance and then followed by the final plat, either while the construction plans are being approved or once they have been
And
accepted.
just to pick on it just a second, you're a developer. You bring in the plat, preliminary, and we receive it, stamp it, and the stopwatch clicks. Okay, and then you have the review period. What's total time on the review period by law
For final plats
Nope.
or construction plans.
on construction plan? Yeah,
I don't know if is there an actual review period?
Matthew, wasn't it
On construction? I know there's on final plats, but I wasn't sure if there's construction plans. Is it
Okay.
30 days?
final plat?
Final plats, 30 days
30 days.
once the clock starts. How you
That's what I'm
interpret
looking for.
how the clock
Yeah.
starts is
For the final plat.
Yeah, final plat.
Yeah, for the final plat. Right.
Okay. That's the part the public doesn't understand here, is that once we get it, there's 30 days before we receive it, review it, and approve it. After that, it becomes a court matter, I would guess. Matthew?
Sorry, say again.
I said after that, it would become a court matter if we didn't approve it within 30 days
That's correct.
without due cause. Okay.
It certainly could be. Yep.
But we don't have the same restriction on the construction plans.
Evidently not.
not that I'm.
I mean,
I
that's,
know
Not
plats
the same
for sure.
restriction, yeah, it's-
well, those take time for development. Yeah.
Yeah.
To get your I's dotted and T's crossed, so to speak.
Yes, I would
But
hope
once-
that it's not 30 days for construction
Yeah.
plans.
Okay. Gotcha. The public doesn't understand it either. They think that we just rubber stamp anything that comes across the desk, and it's not that way. We have a time requirement, and if we don't do it, then, well, theoretically, without justification, the developer could sue us, and they'd win. Then we pay damages. Yep.
So this would change this sequential order that we have now on when things are submitted. And it would benefit us because we'll know what the overall subdivision will look like, how many homes on each lot, everything as we get
So it's
it'll
basically
give you a better idea of what's being placed on the property.
Yes. So a lot of times when you do the preliminary plat, you're shooting as best as you can for what the lot lines are going to be, what the right of way is going to be. A lot of times when you get into the construction plans and you're actually getting into the details, things have to shift a little bit. And if you have to submit your final plat before your construction plans can be approved, then what happens if your construction plans
Yeah.
need to differ than what the final plat? And so then it just kind of creates this snowball of chicken before the egg.
So then there's revisions to the final plat,
Yeah.
addendums, and then
Yes.
difficult to maintain and track, and who's got the latest version of what.
Yes.
Is it okay?
So the
This
sequence.
sounds pretty important to me.
It is. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, next. So adding regulations for small subdivisions, which are also known as minor plats. This is very cut and dry in the Texas Local Government Code, Chapter 212 specifically. But it basically allows for an additional type of plat that are, there's specific standards. It's basically there's four or fewer lots. All the lots are already fronting onto an existing street, and that basically there's no public utilities that would be going to the site unless you're just widening the right of way or putting in easements. This is more to help lessen your court agenda than anything else. These are plats that could be submitted and approved by staff and provide an update at Commissioner's Court on a regular basis, just to have one less thing on your agenda. There's nothing wrong with requiring a traditional final plat, but this is if the plat's already simplified, why not have an additional option? There is one less thing that you'll have to review. That's very cut and dry in local government code. Next, please. And
So
then
we're saying if it fronts, we do not have to have a minor plat approved.
you do. It's just that there are specific standards. If there are 4 fewer lots, if you're not dedicating any public right of way outside of an expansion of already existing public right of way, and you're not proposing new public utilities, that's what would classify as a minor plat. So it's
How many lots did you say?
4 or less.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's basically like a lot of times when
Great.
you have a smaller tract of land and someone's subdividing it for a personal reason, or you have a huge lot and you want to subdivide it to create reserve. It just a simpler plat.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Completion of improvements, construction, security, and bonds. So we're getting slightly out of my wheelhouse here. Coordinated with some engineers here, but from what I understand is that in section 60, you have a maintenance security program that allows the developer to be included in a 2-year maintenance program, regardless of the status of any homes being built. So their warranty period could expire before they have any homes built, and then they start coming in after that warranty is up and start building homes, damage the right of way, and the county is responsible for repairing all of those roads. So updating your maintenance security standards to put some sort of threshold that the county will not fully accept that public right of way until you hit that threshold, whether that's 50% of the plat section or whatever you want that threshold to be. But it basically removes some of the risk from the county and the responsibility of the county.
Well, you're going to get construction traffic, dump trucks coming in, lumber trucks delivering that would probably exceed what the road could take. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, there's numerous examples where this would have been beneficial to Liberty County.
You bet. Yes. Matthew, you see any problem with that?
At first blush, no, it looks good.
Okay.
I'll take a look more detailed because I can see.
We're all getting a fresh look right now.
Yeah.
So
I know you're using Hardin County in this example, but I don't see Hardin County as being very well developed now. So if it's Chambers or Montgomery or Harris, that might be a little to see what they have as well.
Okay.
Again, it's just from an example standpoint.
Yeah, hard.
Yeah.
well, they're getting ahead. I don't blame them. Judge McDaniel probably has seen the outcome of some of these things in other counties that are, comparative to his in some regard, except for the population. So as their population grows, I think they want to try to get ahead of the game.
Yes, we can come back with some additional examples. And then next slide, please.
I don't know how to do that.
Nick turn go just the game.
Okay.
This echo in here.
Okay. Yeah,
It's
I
hard
do.
to understand.
I know I do hear myself, and I feel very loud. But
Yeah, it kind of sounds like we're in the Astrodome. Okay.
Yeah, it's hard to hear.
Yeah.
I thought I was the only one.
And I'm not speaking loud either. I'm just barely.
I was just seeing the echo.
is this better?
It's all
Okay, and then this is about approval of preliminary and final plats through the Commissioner's Court. So right now, y'all are approving every single preliminary and final plat that are submitted to the county, which creates a very large agenda every time y'all meet. So a potential solution is to update responsibility of who is formally approving all of the plats. A simple way, if you still wanted to make sure that you were seeing all of the final plats on the agenda, would be to just make it so preliminary plats were only approved at staff level, but they provide an update at Commissioner's Court on a regular basis to let you know how many plats, how many lots, lot sizes, basically set the standard of information that you would like to receive. But it's one less thing that y'all have to approve, especially because it's not required by state law. And I don't know of any other county who is reviewing preliminary plats on the court agenda. If they even require submittal, most of them don't even require you to submit preliminary plats at the county level.
Well, to me, a preliminary plat just says we're planning on doing this. Get ready. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. The second option is to take final plats off the court agenda as well and have staff approve and and provide an update as well, because it's so regulated in the Texas Local Government Code. Basically, if the plat is following your subdivision regulation standards and the local government code, the plat is shallow proof and would likely need to be approved unless there's some major problem or some reason it's not meeting existing regulations. I can understand why that wouldn't be as ideal for you, because you probably do want to know what's coming through, but that could be addressed with regular updates from staff if you want to reduce your agenda.
The way I understand this, the Commissioner's Court wouldn't approve the staff, the engineering department
Yes.
would approve the plats and stuff.
Yep. They would, as long as all the subdivision regulations are met and Texas Local Government Code is met and there's no variance request, staff could approve it and then just update you at the next Commissioner's Court.
That's on preliminary.
That you could do that for
Blanket.
preliminary and final.
No,
But if you wanted to keep final and take preliminary off, that would reduce your court agenda size.
Okay. I don't think we're so inundated right now that we could make a big change like that. I would prefer to keep the final plats as being reviewed by Commissioner's Court as well for approval. And of course, if there is a deficiency, it's noted, then the clock would start ticking again. The public would be informed as such. And that is the big thing for us. It's like you're just stamping anything that comes across the table. And we don't want that to be the norm. You know, yeah, we're compelled to follow law. We don't have a choice about that. I got two attorneys over here that tell me that every day, you know, that you're going to behave. And we do. But the other side of it is, I could see the preliminaries not going through the process, but the final plat, I would prefer to keep those. You know, that it might drag us down a bit in time. But that's okay. We've got time.
So would the preliminary plat submittal right now still, would that go through LJA since y'all are, so you would see it regardless, right?
Yeah.
And you would provide a letter or something based on that. So it's not like it's going through with without someone looking at it and informing the court. We would certainly have to know that it's happening. So because it sounds like they can submit it, and if, Melinda did leave, so I'll pick on Jesse now since she's representing our permit department. That Jesse could just look at it, sign it, and it would be good to go. But that's not really the case. The case is it has to go through our engineering to look at all of the drainage and all of the submittals that are there. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we weren't anybody think we were trying to bypass a crucial step.
Yeah, you'll get a registered letter from the engineer stating that it's in compliance with your standards.
Okay.
Yep. So the only difference would be coming to you formally for approval to basically just check that they did what they were supposed to do.
Good.
And that is our initial list of recommendations. Didn't want to blow up your whole subdivision ordinance in one go.
So what you're saying, everything in our current regulations is perfect with exception of these.
Honestly, I read through the whole thing. I have a whole printed version on my desk that I redlined, and it's not bad.
Not bad.
It could be a lot worse. So I think these would significantly reduce
Mhm.
time and effort and money that the county is spending without completely just overhauling your whole ordinance. I think the lot size situation is going to be the largest conversation and largest potential change. Everything else is very standard across the Houston region.
Well, I can tell you in 2015, when Greg and I walked in the door, it was a lot worse. And of course, Bruce followed and then David followed, and now Gerald is just seeing these things. But we really had limited review at that time. And the things that were to be considered were it's a free throw, pretty much. Now we've got it on target. I think we're in the right direction.
Yeah.
Let's just make it as stout as we can and move forward. And then with a whole lot of regard toward drainage. That's the other side of it.
So there is another variance that comes before the court somewhat routinely, and that is for our wet bottom detention ponds. And so we have to approve a variance for that because our regulations call for it to be concrete lined. So if it is a detention pond, then we should just be able to, I think we should rewrite the regulation there so that they don't have to come before the court, because most of these developers are wanting the aesthetics of a wet bottom pond. And so that, everybody agree with that? I mean, we've seen that one.
And I think they do that to eliminate having to put concrete lines.
Yeah, that serves no purpose.
Then there's a difference in the natural drain and the pumped detentions that I would
That's
like
right.
to address.
So I'm saying they're unnecessary. So we should at least change these regulations so that that's doesn't have to be brought before the court because we haven't thought through the difference between retention, detention, wet bottom, concrete bottom.
Right. So when we were looking at all of these, we had a whole section of engineering changes that we could potentially make as well, and we decided to split and basically do subdivision design development standards, and then we would come back with more drainage specific. But I mean, you can update them at any time.
Okay.
But these are already a lot of topics to discuss.
So this is part of the GLO funded drainage study. All of these updating for our regulations. So do we have other things? I mean, are we assuming that one of the things for the fire marshal, the widths of the streets, because earlier in the year, we saw that Montgomery County changed their minimum street widths because so many people park on the streets now. The density of these neighborhoods, everyone has 4 cars. Every home has 4 cars. And so they literally couldn't get their fire trucks down some of these streets that they needed to. And then they had the issue sometimes of the cul-de-sacs, again, because of the way cars are parked. So that's not taken into any consideration. So have we thought about that at all going forward, looking at the minimum street widths because of the propensity for people to park on the streets these days?
We have not specifically looked at that, but we're happy to do so.
Okay.
If that's something you're consistently seeing problems with.
I'm not saying we consistently see problems here, but you can see it. The use of the street as a parking lot has increased exponentially in the last 10 years or so.
And there could be some other alternatives than just widening your street pavement. That could be putting specific signage that only allows parking on one side, or having parking requirements that basically state you have to have 2 parking spots in your garage, 2 parking spots in your driveway, and then enforcing who's going to enforce that, obviously. So there are options besides paving, but that's really up to preference and what y'all are interested in looking at.
I think it should be looked at. And again, I'm only 1/4 of a regular vote and 1/5 when there's a tie. So just so you know, I can't ask you to go do something without the rest of these gentlemen agreeing.
Well stated. Is there anything else? One item, it's not on here, but I just wanted to touch on it because I've been asked about it several times. It involves Andy as well over at Fire Marshal's office about fire hydrants. You know, what the current requirements are, if there are any. And Andy, I know you know what those are. Probably if you read the book 1,000 times.
Well, having dealt with this in the past in another jurisdiction, I did have to do a lot of reading on that. And if it is a mud district, they have to provide fire protection water. If it's a PUD or a SUD or a private utility, then they do not necessarily have to do so unless they're collecting taxes. So the collection of taxes into the mud is what is the state requirement to provide the fire water.
Okay.
And that's basically it.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, please.
I wasn't sure if you're talking about that or like spacing and openings
Well,
and all that.
But I mean, just the general requirement to have a fire hydrant, regardless
Oh,
of
yes,
space,
yes,
falls on the tax aspect of it, if they collect taxes or not.
yes.
So, and even if they put a fire hydrant out there and paint it black, they can call it a flush plug, and it does not have to provide fire protection and water. And that's where the color codes come in, with the different color barrels of the hydrants, as to how much water they can effectively get out of it when the fire truck hooks up to it.
Okay.
And a note on the setbacks. We let these subdivision builders build these houses on top of the road. Of course, they're going to park their cars on the side of the road.
Yep.
Yeah. So what I guess the other thing is, I know y'all haven't looked at that yet, is one of the issues we have is that a developer, when they get their plat approved, they go out there and they build the road, and there are absolutely no inspection points dictated by our standards for the county or anyone else to go do an inspection. And so again, you know, my authority, it's limited, but I think we need to have these key inspection hold points where the developer would pay for a geotechnical review or an inspection by a qualified individual to look at these points. So if it requires a sub base, once the sub base is in, it's inspected, and then they do the base, and then we gather all the densities and all the compaction tests, everything, make sure that the right materials are used, and then at that point the developer is released to go ahead and put the surface on that road, and then we have inspection. You know, when we're pouring concrete, you know, they'll take a sample, they'll do break test at 7 and 28 days, the standard test that you see in all of the industry and other places that we simply do not have now. We've got to get a hold of this, or we're going to leave a lot of problems for the future. We're addressing a lot of problems right now because we didn't have things like this in place. Yes, sir.
The thing that everything that we don't think that the county needs to require more testing than what's already in these criteria. What you've mentioned is already in the criteria. We just need to make sure that it's being done.
Okay.
You know, in terms of the core and all the core sampling and the geotech sampling and everything else. We just need to make sure it's being done.
That's a good point, Brian, because it is in there.
I don't think you have to change it. We just need to enforce
it just doesn't happen. And so,
yes,
but what we don't have written in there is that they're required by, when they agree to develop, to stop at these hold points, call for this inspection, and we gather that data, and then we got to have some teeth in this thing to make sure that they don't blow past those points, because people tend to do that. And so, and the onus has to be on the developer to make sure that these inspections are taking place. And then the county, through third-party contractors, geotechnical, our engineering firm, will provide that service, not someone at the picking of the developer. I mean, we had that this year where a developer submitted their geotechnical data from someone that they had hired and done. So it's got to be a third party. It can't be someone that they've chosen to provide that. So again, I guess what I should revise what my statement is and say that we need to build the enforcement steps for our regulations so that we get a good product at the end of the day. And that also leads to another problem we have is a developer, they put in the ditches, and after a time they may put in half the houses, and then the culverts are placed in and they're not on the flow line anymore because the ditches have silted in over the course of the period between when they were dug and when the development finally happened. And so we have to have something. If you go out to one of our newest subdivisions in Encino, you're going to see just hundreds of variations in the elevation of the culvert. So one neighbor drains and the other doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
It's the biggest mess, and they've capped every one of these with concrete and bulkheaded with concrete. It would literally cost millions of dollars to try to correct right now. And the residents that bought in there are not happy with the cattails growing in their front yard, raising tadpoles. So, and mosquitoes. And so we've got to strengthen a number of things in the enforcement arm of this regulation and provide those details, and so that we don't get into the situation again.
Well, cattails and tadpoles are part of living in the country.
Don't forget the mosquitoes.
Mosquitoes too, yeah, but we're all used to those. Well, the thing is that the folks that are moving here a lot, we're not from here. We're getting folks from Washington and Oregon, California, Pennsylvania, Florida, New York. We're just a myriad of folks moving in that are not used to country living, but yet they want the country comfort, the comforts of home that they once had to follow them here. And that we're never going to get there. I mean, let's go ahead and face that. But we can get these things upgraded enough to where they can be strict enough to where it can be a little bit more comparable. Yeah. I guess that's the only safe way to put it. It's not the Liberty County I grew up in. Okay. And I've lived here for 70 years, except for 8 I was off at school, and I tried to stay gone as long as I could, but somebody else thought different. Okay. What else can y'all think of, Greg?
Do you
Briggs?
have any initial feedback on the lot?
Beg pardon?
Do you have any feedback on the lot situation?
Yeah.
Because you continue to get requests for smaller lot sizes.
Yeah.
So general thoughts on smaller lot sizes. Are you interested in having standards for allowing that
Well, the big question is, in the 232, is there a stipulation where we can't regulate the lot size?
Not directly. That's correct. We cannot regulate density or lot size directly, but y'all can regulate lot widths. You could, I really liked the idea about requiring minimum open space. If the lot size or lot width decreases in a certain area, and that could maybe even address some of the parking concerns that we have with the. You can address the concerns and the safety concerns, which you can't prohibit. small lots.
Can we limit the setback on the sides?
Yes.
That's where my concern comes in with the last variance request of the 3 foot.
3 foot.
Is that you have no separation from house to house to house, that you cannot do any kind of fire protection, firefighting operations with any, I use the word safety, the profession itself, but they have no room to operate anything.
Right.
So,
And the IFC does have some.
well, we're under NFPA.
Oh, okay.
So, and under NFPA, every new 1 and 2 family dwelling is supposed to have a residential fire sprinkler system.
Wait, right.
Sounds more restrictive.
Yes.
Anyway.
Is it something where we can develop y'all some of these alternatives in a little bit more detail and then give them back to you?
Yeah.
I think so.
We can show them what a mixed use kind of looks like, what a 40 foot kind of looks like, and just give y'all details on those options and give everybody a little bit more time to kind of look at it and kind of see what we.
Let's do that. We need to get our licks in while we can. I mean, the economy is the economy, and that's what drives the developments. And I've seen the economy going up as of late, and I don't see anything slowing down. Although, say in the northwestern portion of our county, I've noticed it kind of get a little bit stagnant for development there. Not so much the development that's already ready, as much as it is the people moving in. Some more dwellings. But in this area, in the southern part of, especially the southwest section, it's getting just wide open with a choke pulled. And eventually they'll join in Tarkington where nobody wants anything. I mean, literally, Tarkington wants to stay Tarkington forever, as it is now. And it's not going to happen. People are going to sell property. Now, I don't care who you are. If you bought a 100-acre piece of property in 1905 and you spent $300 for that 100-acre piece of property, and it's on the front of, fronting 321 or whatever other road, 105, and somebody comes along and offers you $3 a square foot, you going to sell it. And you're going to go buy you a house in the mountains in Colorado and drink Mai Tais or whatever you want to do. That's just human nature. And you try to explain that to people, then they'll say, I'm not selling this for any reason. I got news for you. Yes, you will. I've watched farmland in Liberty County that I farmed rice on. I mean, with my family, thousands of acres. And all of a sudden now the worm turned, so to speak, where it was once prime farmland. And then, of course, farming kind of went out in the middle 80s here. It's almost disappeared. So we used to farm 36,000 acres of rice in Liberty County. We'll be lucky to farm 6,000 now. So you think about that, and other edible crops as well, soybeans and such. But that changed. The user group changed. So now it's become prime development property. And what better than having a clean slate with no trees? Hey, get out there. The only problem is rice fields have an elevation variance of about 5 feet, from top to the bottom for a reason. Yeah. And believe me, I walked levees and fought snakes. Okay. So snakes don't bother me. But that was in my younger days when I could run a lot faster. But that's what we're up against now is developments are coming. It's going to be more and more prevalent in the south and southwestern section. Eventually it'll jump across the river where we are today when the folks here decide they're ready to turn loose properties. So get ready. It's fun time.
So one of the things that we've heard in court is the average lot size. And that's when they're trying to sell us on these 31-foot lots and all. So I think having a minimum, if it's allowed by law, and I think there are several examples of counties that have minimum lot widths.
But Matthew, didn't you say that we can't have minimum salt lot?
You can, so long as it's tied to legitimate concerns about safety. Yeah.
Okay. So if Chambers County can have it, I don't know why Liberty County can't have it, And so that's what, I'm in that B2. If it's legal in there, then it should be legal here. So
Mhm.
I would like to see some proposals. I think the city of Dayton's minimum is 50 feet now. It could be 60.
I'm pretty sure it's 50.
Yeah, but
And,
municipalities can have that.
Yeah, I understand. Well, let's see what we can do to make sure that we're not just increasing the densities that are going to put problems for our emergency management services, whether it's fire or EMS, whatever it is. We need to make sure that we're protecting those people because at the end of the day, we need to make sure we're providing a safe community.
And that's where some of the regulations associated with the master plan community could come into play, because then you could at that point say, hey, you have so many lots, we need another EMS site
Mhm.
to serve this population. And we can't approve your general plan until we see that land use allocated somewhere in here. So there are ways to do development well where everybody walks away happy. So we just have to make sure we all figure out what makes y'all happy first.
There you go.
We knew it was going to be a back and forth because this was going to be one of your big issues.
Yeah.
Get some feedback and then we'll lay out some options.
Okay.
Well, y'all want to set a timeline on trying to get feedback? And Matthew, 30 days, 60 days? What do you consider to be adequate? 10 days?
I was about to say, just
I
to
mean-
have another workshop and how fast can y'all
If we're being
come
honest, I
back.
already wrote everything.
say that
I
again?
already wrote it.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I was about to say, so just, I
Because
would
I
think
can't-
that
I can't do this without understanding what I'm going to be proposing. So I already wrote all of it.
the.
See there.
Well, maybe distribute it amongst the court, and then we could come back rather shortly. Let them digest it on their own. And,
Yep.
yeah, a
Let
couple
me-
weeks. Sounds
I wrote
good.
this
Couple
all
weeks.
in like
Yeah.
early December. So let me read it, refresh, and then I will send it in the next couple days. If that's okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Sounds great to me.
Thank you.
See, we're getting somewhere. Yeah. That's what this is all about. We just want to make it the best we can. We only get one shot. All of us do. And when you walk off, you want to say, did the best I could. And it's a lot better than it was when I walked in. That's two things you want to say. Hopefully. Andy, you got anything else?
Not on this particular topic.
Well, I know you do have some other stuff, though, but there's no doubt about that. Okay. Matthew and Catherine, anything?
I've got one small issue. I think we've had at least one, if not two, manufactured home rental community applications come before the court in the last year or so. I understand under 232, there's very little we can regulate, but I don't think we have any regulations on them right now. So I was wondering if y'all could maybe develop that for Commissioner's Court. I think it's just roads, drainage.
Yep.
Yeah.
You can set minimum size too for the tract as well,
Mm.
so that you're not ending up with just like one, mobile home unit or manufactured home. So you could say your tract needs to be X acres in size,
Oh, right.
so you can adequately serve the site.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
So there
I
are
mean-
ways.
While we're spitballing here, the mobile home parks.
Oh, yes, sir. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm
That's it.
talking
Yeah, I mean, municipalities have a whole lot more teeth than we do. So,
I believe they do.
Yeah.
We can still do some things. I think obviously in a mobile home rental community, that's all private property.
Yes.
So the roads would be private, but we can still demand that they be of sufficient quality, which we can stipulate for, EMS access, police access, that sort of
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
Well, the size of the lots of the mobile home communities, parks, whatever the word we're using, is also going to be affected by how much the septic can handle also, based on the size of the lot. So that will help limit the number of units on a piece of land based on what they can do for the septic issues, correct?
Yeah, if it's
well,
OSS,
percolation and such.
not true septic or
Well,
right.
either way, it's still a minimum size of property of land per unit that system is going to serve. In order, because you have to have so much system per unit for it to operate properly. And then it has to have so much land for it to disperse the product.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, so obviously OSSF would play a role in that too, but right.
Okay. You out of ink yet?
Not yet.
We're good. Okay. Greg, got anything? Bruce, got anything else? David?
No, I'm good.
Not good. Okay.
I just want to say thank you. This looks
I mean,
it's a great start. It's not a good start. It's a great start.
I'm glad. We're
I
heading
love
in the right
this.
direction.
And I guess the other thing is though, will you be supporting us in trying to determine a method of enforcement and penalty standpoint, what we can and can't do, because we've got to get control of this thing, and so if you could provide any kind of guidance on that, because I don't know anybody on the court here that knows how to enforce these regulations and make sure we're getting what we want.
A building inspection group would be what you'd need, but that takes funding. And then, of course, that would be passed on
Yeah.
to the developer, which would then again pass it on to the consumer.
Yeah.
And as long as there's a strong economy, it's probably acceptable. The day that the housing developments go south, well, it's going to be frowned upon, but that's just life. Yeah. Okay.
Maybe we can seize these developers that promise waterfront property don't actually say that it's twice a year because they flooded the place.
Well, yeah, it is twice a year, right? Yeah. All righty. Well, guys, if y'all think of anything else, well, thank you for coming. Appreciate everything.
Okay, thanks. Good job.
Brian, glad you got the rope out and got everybody herded up. There you go. Thank you. All right. We'll call it a day.